You want me to give you a countdown for timer? Sure. Yes. Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. I smell people death. The falling star is me. The falling can run, but more dead are coming. We can't.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Diablo 3. I don't know why we're back here. It's because we can't get enough of it, right? Diablo is a fantastic series. The Reaper of Souls expansion did a lot of good things to the game, and I think it's worth a little bit of time to play through at least once.
I must wait.
I'm gonna be playing through it as the monk class. I've done this before as wizard. Back in NASA 2017. And monk is a very... Monk goes uncomfortably fast at times. We will hopefully challenge the encoder several times throughout this run to see if it can actually keep up. And then I'm going to challenge my own eyesight to see if I can keep up with what the hell's going on the screen.
The shadow of Diablo still hangs over the screen. Thank you. Come.
Now what you're seeing is a lot of dashing.
Let me open the gate.
And there's a lot of gear that goes into being able to dash at that speed. A lot of it is spirit regeneration. Some of it is reduced resource cost. A lot of that resource cost reduction comes from making the element of the dash be fire and then using Cinder Coat to reduce its cost. And I don't have all of my items memorized, but I can read them down briefly at the end of the run. Right now, most of my visual time is spent looking at the map and looking for a tiny map ping that appears on the end of it to be able to tell me that I'm going the right direction. I like warping to that cutscene. That means I did something right. Monk is a class that I didn't initially think I was going to enjoy when I started playing the game, but I don't really like leveling up in games like this. A buddy of mine, Shippotail, like giant massive shout out, was like, "Hey, you want to make a monk? I'll PL you real quick." And I'm like, "Sure, dude, let's do it." And then I made it, and then I was fortunate enough to get the drops I needed to have a really good build. Farmed up all this stuff. I followed guides by Project 64 and Garfum, I think is how his name is pronounced. But the Diablo runners have been really awesome about giving me the info for how to do this run and telling me that attack speed is what affects the... What's the word I'm looking for? Attack speed affects how fast you travel when you're using the dash ability. There's an item set that's used that can significantly increase your attack speed. But I am not using that particular set in this run. The reason for that is to be a little bit more like marathon safe, a little bit more consistent. I'm using a... I gotta watch the map for a second. I'm using an item set that's a little bit better on spirit management, so hopefully I don't go spirit bankrupt at any point. Because A, that's really embarrassing, and B, it's slow. Hey, first try, hell yeah. There's 3 different paths you can go there. Getting that first try is awesome. There's a lot of pick-a-path, like blind pick-a-path in this game. We passed the first one. There's a few other terrible ones later on, but we'll see how those go when we get there. So, yeah, pick-a-path, first try, awesome. This is repair gear. It's pretty standard. A little bit of inventory management while we wait for Hadrig to finish up his work here. Let's look at this lovely door animation for a moment. Also, this dark form that you see me in there, that's the Epiphany ability. And that gives you a lot of spirit regeneration. So we try to keep the uptime on that dark form as much as possible. Because ideally, we don't want to go back from that form. Because that means we have less spirit regeneration, which means going slow. We don't like going slow.
It is not ready yet.
And one of the things about this... Oh, I thought I got close enough to that trigger. So there's a proximity trigger here that I missed slightly, where you have to get Cormac's items. And I thought I went close enough over here to get it, but I passed it. There we go. Now this apparently is black magic, but really it's just concrete and spikes, and Cormac doesn't know what he's talking about. So we wait for him to break that with a spear, because we like to let him have a little bit of glory. Also, while I'm running the game, I really like craft beer and I really like music, so please post all of your beer and music recommendations in the chat. And when I rewatch this at home later, I'll go look all that stuff up. So if you got a brewery or a musician or whatever, don't post links, just post, like, you know, the names of the things, and I can just Google them myself because I'm a smart person. Doors, the bane of my existence. Dude, Breckenridge Vanilla Porter's delicious. I've had that. I like that beer. I have a suspicion. Is it the middle?
That ability is not
Maybe not. No, it's not on the low ground. Here. This way. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't get close enough for the proximity event to trigger. I like stouts and porters mostly when it comes to beers. When it comes to music, I like trance music, I like rap music, I like metal. I'll show the build at the end of the run for anyone curious, because I don't have it all memorized off the top of my head because I've been using it for so long that it's not a thing I have to think about too much anymore. Maybe whenever I'm like not moving, I'll try to like open up the menu and show it off. I've seen a lot of good stuff posted. I like it. You guys are great. Knobby knobs, anything that's double digit is good in my book. Okay, here we go. The amount of time you have to wait on that fight is always really annoying. Oh, I went too fast. Okay. Sometimes as Monk, you move so fast that you forget to take into account the latency, so you hold the button down for like a frame too long. All right, here's another pick a path segment. There's like 4 different places that this can spawn. And the draw distance of the minimap is kind of low, so it's not in the first position. So we're going to go up here. Oh, there it is, second position. Because the maps in Diablo are semi-randomly generated. There are certain tiles that get reused repeatedly throughout the thing, and some maps are the same map, but they have multiple different places where things can spawn. So exits can spawn in different places on a map that is always the same shape. So there's a route you take through each of those static maps that is the most optimal for trying to find them. So I checked the first position, checked the second position, it was in the second position.
But you will never possess the next piece. It is fallen where only the ancients may tread.
What a miserable woman.
The witch.
Now, I've played this game for a while, and I still don't remember all this stuff with Leoric Crown, what it has to do with the actual, like, plot. I just know we need Leoric's Crown for some reason. And then after we get that, we get the blades for Tyrael. And then we do some other things. But I still can't remember what that Leoric thing is all about. Now this is played on the lowest difficulty. It's played on normal difficulty because normal is the fastest difficulty. And with certain gear setups, the time difference is not too big, but the possibility of like losing time becomes really like massive later on if you try to play it on a higher difficulty. There's this awful thing in Diablo 3 where after a certain point it becomes either one shot or be one shot. And you're just dodging everything. Anything can kill you in one hit. It gets a little dicey. Greater Rift pushing is quite the active insanity, I think. So I prefer just to do the speed running and do the main game. Leoric's Crown allows you to trap the skeleton's soul in his body. Oh, that's right. Hey, thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it. Got chat open on the screen. We can actually be friends. It's good to hang out with everybody tonight. Thank you all for showing up. It's good to see a busy chat at NASA Marathon. It's a speedrun marathon that I really enjoy. Got an awesome crew here.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Look at that. People agree with me. It means I've done something right. Either that or I just have a large enough platform so that statistically works out that way. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Once we pick up that second item, we can just use the map to work back, and it saves a few seconds.
I must wait to use that ability.
Oh, come on, really? Dashing, moving up and down diagonals is really annoying because of the cursor placement.
It is not
Sometimes there's a little, can't quite tell. Because there's like high ground and low ground in this game. Sometimes you're not sure where your cursor is in relation to the camera. Because you're not sure how it's drawn. Come on, just, thank you.
I must wait to use that ability.
Okay.
The no.
You can close dialogue boxes with the escape key, or there's another button for it that I have bound to tilde. Or whatever that wavy dash mark is in the top left corner that people use for their Ventrilo push to talk. I mean, we're all using Ventrilo again now, right? Because while Classic's coming out, we've literally gone back in time. Also, shout out to anyone that's going to play that. I look forward to PvPing you and destroying you. It'll be a great time. I play a mage. It's the most overpowered thing in vanilla.
I require passage to water.
Okay. Now this section, I need people's feedback on it. You come in here, you kill all these cultists. You know, this NPC talks for a moment, and then she summons a named NPC who you explode because that's what you do with enemies. And then she summons Dark Berserkers. And I feel like Dark Berserker is a good name for a Yu-Gi-Oh card. If it doesn't already exist as a Yu-Gi-Oh card. 'Cause it sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I can't unthink that every time I hear it.
I do not fear her.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to play in competitive. I used to play in local tournaments where I live in Arizona. Shoutouts to the United States. Actually, shoutouts to NA. NA is pretty good.
It is not ready yet.
We just meme too hard, and sometimes we lose because of that. That's the only reason we lose. We try to like lose. We try to lose never, and we try to win with style. And other places just want to win, and that's kind of boring.
Use that ability.
This is Caverns of Arene. It is the absolute worst part of Act 1. I have my first bonk of the run where I accidentally deplete all of my dash charges. There are 3 dash charges. They constantly refresh. But there are some instances where if you dash into a wall for too long, because the terrain is awful, because the mini-map draw distance is so small that you can't actually see anything, and the proximity pings for the exit don't ever freaking trigger until you get close enough to see them normal anyway, so why are they even in the game? And this part's just awful. Now, your dashes can't necessarily clear these pits in Caverns of Arene either, unless you're at very specific angles that go diagonally across the screen, because we're on a rectangular-shaped screen. So it's faster to dash diagonally than it is to dash straight up and down. Come on. I'm waiting for her dialogue to finish. Thank goodness. You're supposed to 1-round kill that boss, and I had it happen in 2 rounds once, and I'm like, basically, that means you're the worst. Really, it's kind of RNG is depending upon when she starts taking damage, and then there's some frames and some other things that I don't fully understand because I'm not a magician. But I'm sure someone out there smarter than me can explain it. This is another place where there are 3 set spawn points for an item. We're going to check them one at a time. It's not in the first one. The first one is the only one where it's really convenient. Did my mini-map draw distance screw me again? Oh wait, no, that's... Come on. Where is it? Is it down? It's not down more, is it? It is. Just a little bit further down. There we go. See, that's my biggest complaint about this game is you get a mini-map, right? And if you watch it in the top corner, its draw distance is really small for how it displays the terrain. And when it displays pings that show where exits or other items of interest are, the radius at which those trigger is very small. So it really can't be relied on, even though it's supposed to be able to be relied on. Come on, get down there. Good, good. Okay, Halls of Agony 1. Come on. I wait for Spirit for a second. Nope, not that way. Try this way. Try this way. Try this way. Oh, I went past it. Went too fast again.
That ability is not yet recharged.
So one of the things about going this fast, I have had absolutely 0 lag issues here, so that's fantastic. But if you ever play this at home, since this is always online, you get susceptible to lag, and if your connection hiccups a little bit, you rubber band like a fiend, and then you just feel bad. Okay. Now we have to free some prisoners. Now you'd think you could just dash through the walls, and you're only like a quarter of the way right, because you can only dash through walls into rooms in this game if the door to the room is destroyed. There we go. Can't talk for a second. Watching the map. It's like looking at DDR arrows. There we go. There we go. I guess it's not DDR. I guess DDR is old. I just dated myself. It's all about Beat Saber now. Which is a great game.
It is not ready yet.
Where's the last one at? Remember, it's in the middle section. Yep, right there. Okay, I gotta kill the warden. But yeah, this is 4-piece raiment is what I'm using. Come on, just spawn. Come on, come on. Waiting for NPCs, like anti-shoutouts to that. Mate, 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 mate. Hold on.
I need to go back.
Sometimes this happens. Okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna go back in.
Am I alone here?
There we go. So occasionally you go really fast and triggers don't work correctly because you went too fast, and then enemies don't spawn, so you have to town portal back into town and come back. And in a worst case scenario, you actually have to reload the game because you move too fast. This game does not want to go as fast as Monk enables you to go, and that's kind of awesome, but it's also a little annoying. Also, trying to stream this is sometimes a slideshow and the bitrate throws up. But we're on the monstrous NASA computer, Space Command over here, where hopefully everything looks pretty good. We're challenging the bitrate with this run.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Get out. That was the Butcher. You might remember him from Diablo 1, where he was difficult, and he's been nerfed into the Oblivion since then, so come on, go in there. There we go. Into the cutscene. Talk to the stranger. Spoilers, it's Tyrael. No spoilers for old games. It's been more than a year.
You have restored.
There we go. Come on. Yeah, we're going in Act 2.
Shall we depart to Gandair?
So Act 1 is the second slowest act of the game. The game just gets faster and faster and more awesome the way you go through it, because each chapter, or act, excuse me, is faster than the last. Come on, Ashira. When you see me open the menu like that, that's literally just me failing in timing. Because escape, which is the key that opens the menu, is also the skip dialogue button, or the close all text box button.
It is not ready yet.
So that just means I missed my timing by whatever amount. Or I thought I clicked on and the click didn't register yet. That's Irena. We now have 2 Irenas. People use Cormac because they say he's better. And, I mean, you can think that and all, but Irena's pretty great. Come on. Open the pathway. I also like the scene because you get to have a like, first incarnation Irena with the bikini, along with, like, fully armored Irena. Oh, there we go. The wrong side of it. You have to go in here and disrupt this ritual, and then you have to go do it again somewhere else. And I want you to think about what's happening to these NPCs when I go into this next room. I have to go into a room and disrupt a ritual, right? And from their point of view, a person just shows up for less than a second and then leaves. Try explaining that to your boss. Hey, how come you didn't complete this weird cultist ritual? I don't know, some guy just walked in real quick and disappeared. What'd they look like? A weird cosmic blur. I don't believe that. You're going to jail. You're going to the brig, whatever. Like, your boss is never going to believe that.
I am going.
I pulled that guy over for speeding. Okay. What'd they look like? Oh, I didn't get a good look. They were going too fast. Mate? What? We have to wait for these to spawn. There's a dialogue thing that happens off screen. You have to kill all these enemies. Then you have to go back and talk to an NPC that walks away from you. If you want to click on him as soon as he starts being active. Oh, this is so refreshing. I love how fast this game is. It's like, it's great. Huh?
It is not ready yet.
Also, my items are in Guillaume and Jawbreaker for my weapons. And then I have the 4-piece raiment. I have Pride's Fall. Also, I'm going to try to continue to check items as I can. Tell you things.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Now this part right here is really annoying. So you have to click Ashira there, and then you have to go and click it again. Over here.
Let's go.
There we go. Also, this is sort of a spoiler-free run because by skipping cutscenes, because there's an option to skip cutscenes, you don't get any of the plot. You're not really missing much. You know, there's some things about certain lore characters in it and whatnot that are kind of cool, but the plot's not amazing. The gameplay's pretty fun. Unfortunately, it hasn't changed in the years and years and years since it came out. Oh, did this happen again? Please no. So I went too fast again. The trigger for the person to be there didn't be there. We're gonna go to town. We're gonna go back in, see if they spawn.
That ability
Nope.
is not
Okay.
yet recharged. Returning to town.
Okay. So what we do when that happens is we fully reload the game whenever an NPC doesn't spawn because of a trigger. So you go all the way back out and you go all the way back in. Shout outs to SSD Tech having come a long way.
It's impossible.
There we go. Restart the sequence. And then you just there we go. Slowed down for a little bit right before the thing, so I could actually click on it this time.
There has to be a way into the sewers from here.
There we go. And we get moving again.
To use that ability.
And you might notice it at a few points when the dashes are a little bit slow. Oh, wow, that was a really good sewers. Sewers is a little obnoxious. In the Chaldeum sewers sections, that's part of the area where the minimap draw distance becomes a real issue. Now we're going to Chaldeum.
I'm surprised. The guards.
Also, I have a gripe about this this particular area. The soundtrack to this game, I think all the Blizzard soundtracks are quite good. Their old ones and their new ones. Their composers do a really good job. But their Stinging Winds music, I don't think is actually on the soundtrack disc that I have. I really like it. It's part of the reason why I wanted to get the soundtrack. But so now we're in the Ruined Cistern, and the minimap draw distance doesn't do much for me. But I got lucky. The what are they called? What do I want to call them? There's a lot of pick a path down there in the sewers. Nope, not that way. I gotta go up a little bit more. The minimap draw distance doesn't help here because if you see as you're moving around, the minimap draw distance is maybe a quarter of the minimap in width. There we go. Really good position. There's, I think, 11 spawn positions in Dalgar Oasis for where that could be. No, not that way. Let's try going this way. Nope, not that way. Over here.
It cannot be done.
Oop. I ran out of spirit. I think it's the 4th time I've done that. Go this way. Nope, not over there.
I will not do that.
Is this it? No. You can sprint, teleport, whatever movement ability over most objects in the game.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Was it this way, really? Which one did I miss? Top left. Got it. There's a lot of irregular sized terrain in this one. There we go. So sometimes it's hard to determine where you're going just by minimap alone. Like you really have to work, you really have to watch the tiles on the screen, which is something that I'm not the best at yet. I don't have the full set of them memorized. Now the reason I go all the way here before going to the hidden camp is your town portal will take you back to this location after you go through it. So I just like to exit the dungeon that way and then come here. Okay. We summon Zoltan Cool, who is basically the worst written villain that I can think of in a really long ass time.
I'm going to go with you. We should bring Cool.
You need to resurrect Zoltan Cool for reasons that are like spoilers, so I don't want to say. And but I will spoil the fact that when you resurrect Zoltan Cool, he immediately decides to attack you. And you know, I feel like you'd wait a few years before you tried to get vengeance, so that you know the person who freed you isn't right there next to you to beat you down. I mean, oh, I saw someone say cough garage. Oh, good lord. I didn't need that reminder. Really good Western. Not really good. That was a good Western flow channel. I'm happy with that. Every intersection here is pick a path, and it's like a 33% chance for each one because there's 3 ways, and it's just real a mess. Not that one. Okay, go back down here. Now, another thing that's annoying about the dashes in this game, about the movement tech, is that if you watch the mini-map, sometimes depending upon how close I dash to my cursor, when I reach the end of a map scroll, it causes my cursor to point side to side a little bit. Like, having precise movement in this game is important, because the further you can move with each dash, the better your resource management, and then you can use faster items.
Are you still alive out there?
Come on.
Or is it the monster?
Thank you. Help me.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
That ability
Let's go,
is
Shen.
not yet recharged.
There's a lot of like little things in this game though that I really like. There's a lot of like little side quests and quests that spawn, and they're kind of cool. But overall, it's I feel like the writing's kind of weak in it. Even though I think they did a good job with the world environments.
It is not ready yet.
It's good stuff. It's a good game. I can't say that enough. Diablo 3 is a good game. I think we're a little bit too hard on it. And it is hella cheap these days. Finding people to play it with can be kind of tough. There, I think, are 6 spawn points here for these 2 different things that can spawn.
Striving for godhood got your head separated from your body.
And this is a big area. Desolate Sands. Alright, there's one of the 2 places that we need. This cave is probably my least favorite like little sub area of the game, because there's a giant loop in it that you can get caught in,
To use that ability.
which I may have. Yep, I did. In the beginning of it, there's a big loop you can get caught in. And there's a lot of rocky protrusions and things that are difficult to dash around, because your dashes and teleports and your movement tech that you have in the game can only take you a certain distance. And if the object that you're trying to pass around exceeds that distance, then you won't be able to go around it. And the way that it draws those distances is it has Irena. Irena, you got me? Hell yeah. I love it when Irena and the little image take care of things so that they don't interrupt my town portal. That's pretty much the best. Okay, so down bottom right. Is Diablo 3 hard to pick up as a game? No, not at all. I mean, it's a little... It might take a little bit of grinding, a little bit, to get your first character up to... Where have I checked yet? Top. Go up this side on the right. Go back down the other side on the left. See if I can get it. Come on. Come on. There we go. It's an easy game to pick up. Over here? No, that's a giant top center? Is that where we're going? Like, I feel like I'm playing a rando now. Checking different spawn points. Come on. Over here. Are you serious? Have I not looked? It's not on that. There's no way. Also, shoutouts to the randomizer community. Randos are a fun and different way to play games that you might have already played a lot. Wait, if it's not there, then where?
I must wait.
No, okay. Look at that mini-map. I gave you 2 seconds to look at. I gotta move on. I passed by that 2 times, and the proximity ping did not trigger. That's one of the reasons why I don't play Diablo 3 too much anymore, is because when you pass by a location and that thing doesn't trigger, when you're within a quarter of a mini-map screen of it, I'm like, what are you doing with your programming? I just don't understand that. It works in Nephilim Rifts, great. Okay. There we go. This section's pretty cool. This is my favorite sequence of Act 2 in a big way. The design in here is cool. There's all sorts of floating things. The architecture's neat. The traps that spawn in it are really awesome. Like, this is all good design here. And then we have a 3-way pick-a-path at the end of each section.
It is not ready yet.
Okay. Go. So we're collecting all of Zoltan Kuhl's body parts to resurrect him because someone thought that was a good idea.
I must wait to use that ability.
Not there. Down. Up. Nope. This way? Yes.
It is not ready yet.
Another portal lies here, waiting to be opened.
Realm of Shadow. And the design in here is awesome. this part's
That ability
really
is
great.
not yet
Zoltan
recharged.
Cool, I think, has a good VA, and his dialogue lines are good. I just think he wasn't really handled too well as a villain. I mean, even though he's a middle villain,
They could
still, I
not
think
kill you. I must
he could have been
wait
done better
to use
justice.
that
I think he's a
ability.
decent character, and the insights that he gives into the lore in the game are pretty cool.
The
Oh,
ghost strike
no,
through
not that
me.
way. Okay,
It
so-
is not ready yet.
Now, one of my biggest losses of spirit is when I bonk into a wall. Because every dash in a wall, I'm not recovering spirit. Because if you hit enemies while dashing over a certain distance, it refreshes your spirit and your dash charge.
Not yet recharged.
You know what? I'll take that axe. I had enough time to pick it up.
I need to go back.
Hey, what else am I wearing? Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, Broken Promises, Kyoshu's Soul.
What we got to reach people must stay. But
I'll get through this whole build eventually. Okay.
Belial.
Now this part, you can't go too fast here, because if you do, the NPCs sort of get lost following you.
We have nowhere to hide.
You have to hang around like long enough for them to realize that you're there, and then begin moving. Otherwise, they will stay there, and then you'll walk to the thing, have to do
I
the
must
walk of shame
wait
back.
to use that ability.
So you don't want to get too far ahead of them. They're supposed to teleport to your location if you get too far away from them, but that doesn't always occur the way that I like.
Never believed it would end like this.
Who has brought this wrath down upon us?
There's one more up there. Oh, I saw that on my minimap. Yeah, these ones over here, I saw them. Come on, what about you? There we go. Making sure they all follow me.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Now to the gates. We have no now, Leah.
This whole bit with Leah's character development is also pretty cool. I really like this game. Look at her standing in Molten like a champion. What a loon.
It is up to you now. Hurry! I must stay here and
We're in the Imperial Palace
Not
again.
ready yet.
I'm gonna read some more inventory when the transition happens in the boss phase here. I think I have Burst of Wrath on my Kanai's Cube. I don't remember what my headpiece is called. Okay. Pride's Fall, Holy Beacon, Lakuni Prowlers, Hexing Pants Mystery Ann,
I must wait to use that
Four-Piece Raiment, Jawbreaker, Kyoshi's Soul, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, Broken Promises, Ingyom.
I am returning to town.
And you can use, I think Slicer Little Rogue is also a very good weapon combination. It's a slightly faster weapon combination, but it's not as good at spirit management. Okay, Act 3. Act 3 is a very pretty act. I like all of the design in it. I like the outdoor design. Oop, I double clicked by accident. Shoutouts to anyone that played Super Mario World when they were little, and then while holding right, accidentally looked up the door and went into it, and then did that infinitely, and then was like, what is my life? Felt trapped, like you would never escape. There we go.
It is not ready.
Here. Come on, I can do that. There we go. You can do that diagonal, but it requires you to be in the real corner of something, and then move your mouse really far into the corner also.
I must wait to use that ability.
There's these giant wall-crawling Turvagon type things up there.
That ability is not yet
Oh, I didn't bonk on
recharged.
that last stretch. Nice.
I shall help your men and brave these catapults. The demons
We can talk about my
will
inventory over here, too.
What now?
More of the brutes from below, Captain.
Kanai's Cube is Burst of Wrath, Laws of Seth, and Ring of Royal Grandeur. This is my cube. And then abilities, I have Sweeping Wind.
That ability is not yet recharged.
It's Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm. It's the Air Ally, Mystic Ally. My mantra Mantra
I must wait to
is
use that
a mantra of
ability.
healing, circular breathing.
Lift is moving again. Hold steady.
And then I have Dashing Strike Radiance, which is the fire one, which works with Cinder Coat,
It is not ready yet.
which is my chess piece.
Victory.
Now, there's a... Really? Okay, I guess I can't make that teleport.
You must be the one that lit the sick.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Okay. Now, you have to raise 3 catapults here. The catapults can sort of be left alone to an extent. But it is possible for an NPC to die. And it is also possible for a catapult to bug out and just not complete. We're not sure why that happens. And part of this build is not just spirit cost regeneration, or spirit cost reduction, spirit regeneration. They're two big things that go into it. But cooldown reduction for Epiphany is important as well, because I have Epiphany Insight. And use Epiphany a lot to do spirit regeneration, but really it's the items that give you the refunded cost, refunded charge type thing. The in-Guillaume for the cooldown reduction on it. But you can get items that have really good spirit affixes on them. Cooldown and cost reduction. There's definitely the additional component of it, of being able to get the refunds from Jawbreaker that really help out a lot. Okay, it's enough Turvagons. Come on, let's go. Oopsies, passed it.
It is not ready yet.
Good, it's still moving. That means we've done okay. I think the only other person I've seen get the catapult soft lock is Scrub Casual. And I forget who it was in the voice for Viper Marathon, but they got the and what is that one guy's name? They got the Imperious soft lock in Act 4, which was really awkward.
That ability is
Okay,
not yet
this place is
recharged.
really cool in Rifts. I really like this because it lets you play line of sight games with enemies and you can be pretty safe in it. I don't really like it in speedrunning because you can't teleport through into a room unless the... North already? Okay. Can't teleport into a room unless the door that is the entrance to that room is destroyed. It's an awkward little spot to be in. There's a little bit of a strange layout so far. The exit tile is kind of specific in this one. You'll get a fire lava tile, and then you move up and to the left of it. It might be this one. Go over here. Yep. So certain exit tiles from different zones are the same, even though the path to them is randomized. This one is a left exit also.
I will not do that.
Nope. Go over here. Nope, nope, nope. There, this way.
What you ask is impossible.
There we go. The breach. There we go. This is the, Come on, let's do it. Let's go through.
That ability is not yet recharged.
I like how you cut into the, like, you get into the cutscene and then it forces you back. It's kind of interesting design. That they thought to actually set your character position after those things trigger rather than leaving you where you were. Okay.
I must wait to use that ability.
Okay.
It is not ready
Yeah.
yet.
Area gate. Oh. Okay. Alright, Act 3. Please write your own trebuchet meme. They're old. I don't want to do it anymore. We have to destroy 3 ballistas and a trebuchet in this section. The trebuchet always spawns the same place, but the ballistas are randomized between the different locations where they can spawn. Thankfully, you can actually see them from a respectable distance away. This is the best travel segment in the game right here. I'm going to try to do it justice. I ran out of mouse pad space. One of the things that happens to me when I play this game is that I will, as I move around, my wrist scoots the mouse pad underneath me. And then it gets away from where I'm at. Boom. There we go. Okay, now if we can just get Adria to spawn. She spawned all the way over there. Great. The design in this area and area crater is really awesome. Act 3, I think, is the best designed act in the whole game. I think the Azmodan plotline in here is pretty well done.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Okay, let's go this way. Tower of the Damned. The idea is you descend this tower, so it's generally pretty easy to follow the path down, but you can accidentally teleport back to the top. And to avoid sequence breaking, Blizzard made it so you can't teleport down from those top sections. So if you accidentally teleport or dash or whatever movement tech up to the top, then you have to start the whole descent over. So you want to try to be careful to not do that.
It is not ready yet.
This way. Also, I think Sedea's voice actress is pretty good. She's very underrated as far as Spider Girls go.
I must wait to use that ability.
Yes, Epiphany changes the color of your character. You're absolutely right. And as best we can, you know, we want to stay in that color without reverting. I wish there was a way to like cosmetically change it though, because I would love for my character to be red because red goes faster and everyone knows this. Okay. Did kill it. Clicky, clicky, clicky. I'm clicking it. It's not going. Come on.
That ability is not yet recharged.
That feel when you're standing directly next to a door and you click on it and it doesn't open. That's my second big gripe with the game is that one. The first one is the mini-map draw distance. The second one is sometimes you just click on an object and the interact never happens, and you just sit there and you wonder what has happened to your life. But I think if those are my two biggest gripes with the game, I mean, that's really... I guess that means it's a good game. I actually have one gripe about Greater Rifts. That's my last major complaint about the game. Is that in Greater Rifts, I feel like after a certain point, it becomes just like you have to dodge everything or get killed instantly. And I don't think that's very fun. And there's a lot of attacks in the game that are difficult to avoid or predict, like when Thunderstorm spawns. I feel like that does damage like so quickly, like you don't really have enough reaction time as a human necessarily to get out of it. And the way that Frost Pulse chases you around until it actually hits you, it's just mean. And then certain bosses have attacks that they don't telegraph very well at all. There we go. But I think some of the boss designs are really cool. I like a lot of the bosses in the game, like the Greater Rift bosses and the regular bosses. So I like that the aesthetic is very intact, going from one to another, or going from 1 to 2 to 3. They really kept the feel of the game alive, one iteration after the next, even if, you know, some people haven't known the gameplay. We need the Soul of Azmodan for various reasons. There we go. Well, they fetch a pretty good price at the black market. But the build is 4-piece raiment with Cinder Coat to reduce the cost on the dash, which has the Fire Rune. And I have Jawbreaker and Ingiome as my weapons. I have Pride's Fall. We're in Act 4. Act 4 is awkward. This. Oh, I skipped it. Oh, darn. I didn't mean to skip that line. Imperius does something really messed up to Tyrael there. And this is its own little annoying thing. You go into Act 4, it's a brand new tile set, you're excited to see what's new, and you're time-gated right here. For a boss that's underwhelming. But what happens at the beginning of this act is, Imperius has a line. It says, "The heavens burn. This is your fault, Tyrael." I want you to think about like how messed up that is to say. You're blaming the entire invasion and potential destruction of heaven on one person. It's like holding someone personally accountable for a war. Like, that is not okay, Imperius. That is bad behavior. You're supposed to be an angel. Like, what is that? Like, where's the heel turn where he becomes a villain? I mean, Imperius becoming a villain would have been way better than Malthael, I think. Oh, man, I had a really good Gardens of Hope 1. It was really nice. kind of is Tyrion's fault, but I mean, the whole damn thing? Just imagine pointing at someone saying, hey, you're responsible for League of Legends, the entire thing. Like, that's not a thing you want to be responsible for. Also, you know, just a reminder, the 75th anniversary of D-Day passed recently. It was just a couple of days ago. I was having a thought about that the other day. Maybe some other people did too. Come on, Oriole, stop talking. There we go. Gardens of Hope 4. Also, once again, thanks everyone for showing up today. It is nice to hang out with everybody. Play video games on the internet together. There we go. Because sometimes people aren't friends on the internet anymore, and that's a little depressing. Gotta find people to make lobbies for games with, and a little too much infighting. We need to make some parties a little bit more often. We got Rocket League games that need to be played. Okay, now we need to find the portal to the Crystal Colonnade. Colonnade? I still don't know how to pronounce that word, and I also have no idea what it means. Someone once told me that it's a type of support structure. Not down there. I think it's on the top. Yeah, it's on the... Oh, I started on the right side. Got it, got it, got it.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Colonnade. Okay. Thank you. Colonnade is a sequence of columns. Cool.
I must wait to use that ability.
So I guess that's like these pillar type things that support this whole thing. I guess that you go into Silver Spire. Okay, yeah. I get that. That makes sense. It's expanding our vocabulary. See, video games teach you things. It's fantastic. I would not know what that meant were it not for playing Diablo 3. I would also not know what the word consternation meant if I didn't play Katawa Shujo. Shizuna's best girl. Fight me. I think that's like the 7th time I've ran out of Spirit. Or not Spirit, I think it's the 7th time I had my dash go on cooldown. I'm not really keeping count, I'm only sort of keeping count.
Wait to use that ability.
Now we're gonna get into Act 5 pretty soon. I'm gonna need entertainment during Act 5 because I think it's the worst act of the entire game.
Ability is not yet recharged.
Come on. Let's go.
I must wait.
When I say come on, I'm yelling at myself for cursor placement. Is really what that is. Shoujo? Is that how it's pronounced? My Japanese pronunciation is pretty poor. It should be better. I have family that live in Japan. I should be able to speak that language better than I do, or at least pronounce that language better than I do, so I can actually like talk to my family. But hasn't happened yet. This is on normal, yes, because normal is the fastest difficulty. We want to go fast. It can be played really quickly also on the highest torment levels, but the core gameplay loop doesn't really change. There's just more of a chance of death.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Streamer talk as fast as his run. I used to listen to a lot of rap music, okay? A wise philosopher once said that if someone is talking too fast, then you are listening too slow. And I can't confirm or deny. I will let you draw your own conclusions about that. Alright, now we're in West March. This West March overlooked this front section. That very first screen is really pretty, but now it's just a bunch of gray and blue and, like, there's no real color in it. Everything's really, really muted. It's just kind of, like, uninteresting. Bland. There's some little splashes of muted red here and there. And then this scene. Like, what is up with this? You've already fought some of the enemies, and then it stops the entire flow of action to make this happen. Why? Why is that there? Maybe there was something more to it at one point? And the Reapers as enemies have some pretty cool enemy art design. I like that. But the thing is, the Reapers are their own enemy type. So let's say you're one of those completionist type of people that play video games or engage in hobbies and you want to have everything, right? You have a bunch of anti-undead weaponry, and they release an expansion that's basically about having tons of undead. But they're actually tagged as Reapers, so they're not affected by things that affect undead. And it's, well, what am I going to do with all that undead gear? like, oh no, someone might get a little bit of an advantage at the very beginning of an expansion. Yikes. This is cool. Watch this. Watch this door explode. That's scary. If I saw that happen, I would leave. I would not deal with whatever's in there. The door blows up and then gets sucked into the room. Like, that is nothing but bad vibes. Not a fan of that. That animation is one of my favorite ones in the entire game. It's one of the neat things about speedrunning is when you go so fast in games, you go through the normal things so quickly that the few times that you're required to stop for any reason are a lot more memorable than they would be otherwise, I think. We're in Westmarch Commons, which I believe is the biggest map. It is also the easiest one to potentially get stuck on the wrong side of a giant Y-shaped intersection. It's also the most likely to lie to you with its proximity ping. And if you just look at this, it's blue, it's brown, all the colors are muted. There are trees, but they're like washed over with this filter or something. It's just not a good area. But the design of the actual objects themselves are really neat. Like, I think that the design of the actual buildings and other things, but there's just no color. There's nothing that really makes everything pop. It's all just kind of like a weird blur. Act 5 is it's an act. It exists. I really wish that I could just run 1 through 4 and have the credits trigger, but I would need a different version of Diablo, and farming gear would be a lot harder to do. Well, I constantly think about doing that because, I mean, what if? What if the game could just end at Act 4? Someone as a joke made up a vanilla percent during a marathon, and, you know, I think maybe they're onto something. Maybe Act 1 through 4 would be kind of cool. I will say there is a lot of color hidden in this game, if you know what I'm talking about. That I definitely don't want to spoil for anyone, because that is a cool thing to experience organically in this game if you don't know what I'm talking about already. Diablo has a lot of cool surprises. It's got a lot of fun little side quests and things like that. Briarthorn Cemetery, I don't know why this is here. It's a nice little zone, but it just feels like a little bit padded. The enemy density is really nice, though, so it's kind of fun to go through at lower powers. It just feels like this kind of big, tough slog through everything, which I suppose is a little, like, neat if it's difficult. Go. Kill Catharis. I don't know how that's pronounced.
What was that?
Here we go. Return to Survivor's Enclave. Cool. Miriam spawned, so that's good. I'm into that. We're almost to the good part of Act 5. There is a good part of Act 5. It's after Westmarch Heights. Now, Westmarch Heights is a lot more awesome. You've got this cool particle effect, stuff's on fire, the brown makes sense with all the red flames and things. It's kind of ashen, kind of charred. I really like that. There's like glowing cinder piles. I like the art. Can you tell? I hope you like the art too. I think they did a good job.
That ability is not yet recharged.
But like Westmarch Commons, it's a really large area that can take a while to go through.
A vicious strike.
Oh, I don't think it goes that way. No, I don't think. I think that doubles back, so that's not it.
It is not ready yet.
Oh, don't. Please don't. Okay, good. There we go. Also, this enemy here is possible to kill on any difficulty at any level because all of his attacks are dodgeable. You know, just like every enemy in I Want to Be the Bashi, all the attacks are dodgeable.
I must wait to use that ability.
Get dunked. You have to talk to Malthael here. I'll take the Death's Breath. Why not? Okay. Turn to Survivor's Enclave. Oop. Clicked on the wrong NPC at first.
That ability
I don't know what-
is not yet recharged.
That woman says Cheldo and Chelsa, and I think those are like words in a language that are like regionally variants of like sir or madam or something like that. Well, I've never been able to determine what language it is that character says those things in. Always been curious. There was a point I suspected that it was Greek, but I don't think it is. I don't know if it's Romanian either, or Hungarian or something, but maybe one day I'll find out what she's actually saying.
It is not ready yet.
Now this is the final bad part of the act. Is this section. Now there is a YOLO world record strat in this area because it's pick a path and you have an in-game way of eliminating paths without going into them. There's 4 different ways you can go. No, 3 because 1 gets eliminated automatically. So you could just go for the closest one and hope without actually finding all of the guide stones. It's completely possible and it can work. But most people just don't do it because when you get this far, like I could just go into that one now. But we're gonna do marathon safety, you know? People have places to be. People have Mafia games to get into. Come on. There we go. Oh, there's one. We're kind of in, like... Guide stones are usually a little bit easier to get to than this. Kind of spread out. This map is bigger than it looks. Usually you go through it quick enough that you don't really realize the full size of it. Alright, we're in the fun part of Act 5. Passes to Corvus, Ruins of Corvus, Battlefields of Eternity are all really good sections. The design is cool, they're densely packed with enemies. The enemies are pretty neat. Death animations are fantastic. This is the only part that I'm really into the fact that it has a kind of like drab coloration because it's all underground, so it makes sense that bright colors don't really shine. And all the illumination is like this ghostly kind of blue, which is neat. It's got this very like crypt vibe. I don't like how the doors take so long to open. Like there's a very particular like animation for them that you have to sit through. It is a little bit longer than other door animations in the game. Nope, not there.
It is not ready yet.
Ah, it's an event room. Okay, so that's an event room. There's a couple of kind of harsh dead ends in this section. Down and right? Ooh, yeah. There's a couple of harsh dead ends and loops that can spawn in this section. And they're sort of lengthy. Oh, I double-clicked. Whoops. I like Ruins better than Passage, color-wise. Yeah, but this segment's really cool. And this is where Act 5 really starts to pick up. After you get on the West March, things get really awesome. I am glad, though, that expansion-wise, the Act was as big as it was, because it was part of an expansion for the game that you had to pay money for. But I wanted more out of it. Like, you think about people that complain about video games, you gotta remember that people complain because they're really passionate about stuff. People don't sit around and complain about things that, they don't dwell on things that they don't have big opinions or big care for. So, at least not usually anyway. I mean, we've all met the exception somewhere. That's why I like game companies that like listen to people. It's pretty good.
I must wait to use that ability.
I just killed a spoiler. Oops. There we go.
Before she does, I am returning to town.
Awesome. Here we go. Talking to Tyrael. Going through the Warpy portal.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Also, shouts to Imperius being an absolute thug in Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm MOBA when he was first released. That guy was a beast. I think he's been toned down a bit since then. Oh, wait, hold on. I want Tyrael to spawn. Or, I mean, Imperius. I've gone through there so quickly, Imperius hasn't spawned before, and that's another one of those things where you have to reset the entire game. Which thankfully can be done from the in-game interface. Now, this part is pretty cool. I mean, it's got a lot of gray and red, but, you know, at least the colors pop. There's some highlighting in it. It's pretty cool. Imperius talks trash to you the entire thing. Yeah, there's really not anything you can do to speed the sequence up. Kill a bunch of guys, Imperius comes down, blows them up, says some dialogue, does a thing. There we go. Take the orb.
Gratitude means nothing to me.
Talk to Imperius. Give me my portal.
That
Battlefields of
ability is
Eternity,
not
which I
yet
believe is the
recharged.
biggest map in the game. We're looking for 2 items in this section. And I have no idea what section of it I spawned into. Or what this particular Ooh, one really close. That's good. I like that. Click it. I got it. Okay. Is it this one? No, it's not. That's the, like, meteor event.
I must wait to use that ability.
Ooh, nice, 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 nice. This is a fast Battlefields of Eternity. We like this. We like this a lot.
It is not ready yet.
Alright, there's an auto-scroll sequence coming up, which is fairly cinematic, even though it's kind of long. I like this. This sequence is neat. The design of it, you being on a giant ram, is kind of awesome. So this is the part where I put down the PSA, because I do a beer review show on the internet called Beer and Banter, and I like to remind people don't drink and drive. Don't drink like an asshole. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt other people. Your body processes alcohol at a constant rate, regardless of how much you drink. So once you realize you're drunk, slow it down, because you're gonna get more drunker for a little bit while your body works through what it's already got in it. Don't get people bounced from the club. You know, don't get your car repossessed or anything like that. Be cool, drink responsibly, don't hurt yourself. This concludes the PSA. And if anyone ever wants to drink with me on a Wednesday on the internet, you can do so on my Twitch channel. Oh, stay hydrated. Bot shook after I said that. Yeah, drink water. If you're out at the pub or something, make sure to drink water also.
That ability is not yet recharged.
Okay. I used to talk to Tyrael there, and then I found out that you don't need to talk to him, which is great.
I must wait to use that ability.
Alright, we're in Pandemonium Fortress. This is the last section of the game. There are 3 Pandemonium Fortress segments. The 3rd one's really short, so we're almost to the end.
Not enough
I want to say once again for anyone that's watching,
is impossible.
I want all of your beer and music recommendations. Feel free to post them in the chat, just in plain text. You don't need to link it. I'm smart enough to Google things. You know, so yeah, music, beers, just post the brewery name and the beer, and then post the musician name and the song, and I'll go and look things up. And I'll do that when I rewatch this when I get home.
A vicious it is not
Don't worry
ready
about
yet.
like what genres I like and things like that. Just recommend me stuff. But if you absolutely must know, I like rap music, I like metal, I like trance. And for beers, I like stouts, I like porters, I like saisons with beers,
I must
which are
wait
both good
to
too,
use that ability.
sometimes. Pandemonium Fortress 2. Now, the exit I feel like is usually on the left side, so I try to go that way as much as possible. Yeah, I see that little portal in the distance. That lets me know I'm going the right way. Also, if you are watching this in a dark room, the entire screen turns white near the end. I will give you a warning. It is eye-searing. So, keep that in mind. It happens when at the very end. Rap music. Hey, there are beats behind rap music that are really chill, okay? And sometimes the lyrics on top of those beats are bogus, but I can respect the effort that the DJs put into making a good beat. Oh no, I failed. Pandemonium Fortress 3. I like getting through that smoothly. It's not a completely straight line, so I like to be able to get through that.
Is not yet
This is the last
recharged.
boss. Like everything else, we just kind of dumpster it because we're hideously overpowered. But he has a lot of these sequences of forced invulnerability that are like, why do you put those in your game? Let your players do damage to things, man. But the actual fight, from a casual perspective, I did enjoy. I thought it was fun to go around and try to dodge all the things before I had like a leveled up power character. The screen's gonna turn completely white in a couple moments, so maybe don't look directly into it, or do. I'm not your boss. Time's gonna come up when I talk to Tyrael at the end of this, so you folks can get ready on tech for that. Yo, actually, I'm gonna loot that. There we go. And time. There we go. We did it. We've defeated Diablo. Congratulations. We've defeated Diablo 3, it says, now that Malthael's on the screen. That's cool. So that was Diablo 3, and I have the next game coming up as well, which is very, very different from Diablo 3, which is it's a city builder survival game called Frostpunk that we're going to have up next. I'm going to show gear, actually, if my mic and stuff is still on. I'll show it on screen. Someone behind me said Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a great game. Okay. I'm going to do, take a look at my items real quick. Pride's Fall. I've got 4-piece of the Raiment, Obsidian Ring of Zodiac, Ingiome, Jawbreaker, Broken Promises, Hex and Pence, Mr. Yan, Kiroshi's Soul, Mikuni Prowlers, Holy Beacon, Cindercoat, and in my Paragon stuff, actually Paragon, I got everything filled in Paragon already, so I guess I don't really need to look at that anymore. Down here, Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm, Mystic Ally, Air Ally, Dashing Strike, Radiance, Mantra of Healing, Circular Breathing, Wave of Light, Explosive Light. There's a better thing for that, but I just like that, so I leave it on. Epiphany Insight is the other part. And in Kanai's Cube, I have Burst of Wrath, Laws of Seth, and Ring of Royal Grandeur. The reason to use Laws of Seth is because Blinding Flash, which normally goes on your left click, restores Spirit. I'm just not used to using it yet, so I didn't want to do that in the marathon. I just wanted to go with what I knew. But yeah, I think that's it. That's all I've got for Diablo. Yeah, I went through the inventory, so people know things.